It's Friday, and we are here with the SPL. My name is Fdot. His name is Feels Birthday Man.
Really?
We are starting the broadcast. So we do have Dignitas versus Torpedo, and we're going to catch a couple more games later on this afternoon. But first, I want to take a moment and just thank you for being here, and more importantly, celebrate. Guys, it's Hinduman's birthday. This is his second consecutive birthday in the States. Congratulations. How old are you now?
Old.
Old.
That's all we need to know.
Well, Hinduman just turned 69, so what an excellent way to start off the day. We're going to move into some
420
of our...
a couple of days ago, 69 today.
There you go.
The dream.
Just changing it up. So we're going to move in, as I said, Dignitas versus Torpedo. Now, if you look at these teams, both of them, they have split their last two encounters on both sides of the coin. But if you look at their actual performance, I think you really got to stare at Dignitas for how spectacular they've been lately.
In the standings, you'll see 3-5 for Torpedo, 5-3 for Dignitas is the lineup for these. Third place for Dignitas, which, let's be honest, is not a place you'd expect to have seen them coming into week 5, let alone potentially be a top 3 team heading towards DreamHack.
I mean, you said it. With the way the Team Dignitas has been playing, I will not be surprised. In fact, I foresee Team Dignitas hanging out with me in Sweden.
You reckon? For me, it's either them or Cringe Crew right now. They're the top 2 for me. Cringe Crew, Paradigm 1 and 2 with Panthera. I expect that, and then I expect it's going to be a big scrap between Cringe Crew and Dignitas. But the important thing for Dignitas and for Cringe Crew is finding wins against opposition they should be beating, and Torpedo is one of them for Dig.
It's very interesting. If you take a look at the beginning of the season, week 1, and you say, all right, Torpedo versus Dignitas on paper, you go, maybe a split, right? Maybe Torpedo wins this.
I'd be down with that.
In reality, completely different.
Right now, I'm Dig fanboy.
Yeah.
Don't want to be a Dig fanboy, but I'm currently a Dig fanboy with how this is going. They've been playing very, very well. They new additions, Dodo and Suntouch, have been playing up, been playing very, very well. And maybe I say up right now, but maybe that'll change to consistent.
Exactly.
That's what I'd be looking for right now.
I think that's more the case. On the other hand, we have Torpedo, and Torpedo is definitely looking pretty strong. Although they found some struggles. 3-5 is their win-loss at the moment, and we'll see how they have wound up. Murrdurr has been a good addition to the team.
Realistically, the last 3 sets they've played, they've found splits the whole way through. So they're doing well, at least getting games and picking them up consistently. But the difference is the opposition they've been against hasn't been the best in the league. You know, they've been against opposition that they should be being hungry for more. Team Leftovers is another option, which, to be fair, they had a good run at the start, but it's starting to slow as well as Fnatic, who've been struggling this season. So Torpedo here have to step this up a little bit more if they want to try and put a push on for maybe 4th or 3rd. But now is the time to shine if you're going to do it against Dignitas.
Exactly. This is one of the more even matchups on paper, and in practice, it might lean a little bit towards Dignitas, but I think Torpedo definitely still have a horse in this race. Let's move into picks and bans and see how each team will go ahead and fix their situation. Team Dignitas on the left playing for order, and they will have first pick.
Now the question is, how much respect do you have for Suntouch here, is the question on my mind in regards to Torpedo, because obviously the 2 main go-to gods Suntouch has picked up is Bacchus and Ares. They're the 2 you got to worry about, the aggressive gods.
Right.
His Bacchus, 3 games played, 3 wins. His Ares, 2 games played, 2 wins. All his other stuff, he's not won. But that doesn't matter, right? All the other stuff he's not won on, but Bacchus and Ares are the big go-to for him. He likes playing aggressive being an aggressive frontliner for his team, which allows FrostiaK to be a big influence too.
I think the Bacchus definitely warrants a ban. Torpedo thinks the Kepri warrants a ban. But I think the Bacchus definitely warrants a ban because not only is Suntouch able to do what he's able to do specifically by himself, but the belly flop sets up so much. Plus, Intoxicate is very scary on objectives. There's a lot of ripple effects off of a well-played Bacchus. Ares, on the other hand, I mean, Suntouch is good at Ares. Watch out for it. But I think you can play around the Ares a little bit more than the Bacchus.
Well, one thing you can't play around is the Bacchus. Dignitas picked that up both their last games when they believe they played against Leftovers in that split that they actually had there between the 2. That's a talking point too. Both these teams split with Leftovers. They've not played Hungry for more Dignitas. Fnatic was a split between both these teams too. So on paper, the only difference here is that Dignitas 2-0'd Cringe Crew so far. Paradigm haven't played Cringe Crew yet. So technically on paper, these 2 should be even. As we said though, Dignitas is just looking good.
The Apollo is going to be picked. Hopefully, this one goes to iRens. Dodo's played it, and it had worked out. Actually, I said hopefully. I have memories of the Loki solo. So the Apollo was a little bit better.
Now the Apollo, obviously being flexed, Dodo's played it. We've also seen it over in the Hunter role as usual. But it's also taken into account Gamehunter is over in the solo lane, and he's been playing that a lot this season too. So take it now. You can put it in your Hunter role and just relax if you want to. But if the opportunity arises where you can take it into the solo lane, hey, why not?
Yeah, no, I completely love the pick. We've seen Gamehunter play it, as you said, and the way that Gamehunter is able to play with the build and build differently and be interesting with it, just take it off the board. As you said, leave it wherever it may lie. Thor and Ho-Yi selected for Torpedo here around. Just two very strong characters.
Yeah, Torpedo going to go back to Ho-Yi, give it over to Moex, who, to be fair, Moex has been having a tough time, just like Rens, in fairness, and trying to find a god that's working for him. They've both played multiple gods this year, showing they've got very deep god pools, but not finding all the wins they want to. Dignitas will take Chronos here. It's not one of their big go-tos so far this season, this Chronos. However, it is something Torpedo's been running a lot in mid lane for Korinyo, so I can understand the pick there. There he is.
There he is. Bacchus, Suntouch himself. You remember when Suntouch had a beard?
He's not Suntouch himself, just going to point that out. Suntouch is a lot slimmer than Bacchus.
He
can drink as much, though. I've met Suntouch. He can drink as much.
That's what I was going to say. Suntouch can definitely drink with the best of them. But in realness, Suntouch has really become... yesterday I was talking about how players sort of step into these gods that sort of represent them, if you will, best with Scylla. Suntouch with Bacchus here in Season 3, without a doubt.
We'll wait for a Torpedo pick here, but the next question for me is Dignitas' jungler, FrostiaK. This year, he's been looking a lot at Thor and Ninja. Ninja was banned by Dignitas and taken away was Thor by Torpedo. So where's he going to go to? It's going to be interesting. Maybe he goes to the Wheelish pick here because he's got the Bacchus on his team too.
Maybe.
He's looked at that so far. Serket Fenrir, his other picks here.
Fenrir feels like something more along the lines of what we might see. Bellona's going to be banned out here, so Dignitas looking at TheDarkDodo. Or rather, Dignitas looking at Gamehunter.
And Gamer's god pool is pretty varied, I want to say. It's very unusual way to see him go. I'm surprised we don't see an Osiris ban just yet.
Yes.
Maybe we should, because that's generally one of his fallbacks. Him and Chak is one of the two that Gamehunter will go back to, unless it's going to be some shenanigans over in the solo lane, which, you know, we could see a Loki.
Gamehunter is a very Xayah-esque god pool, where even the warriors that he chooses to play are a little off-brand.
I'd actually say both these solo lanes in this game, TheDarkDodo and Gamehunter, both have similar god pools.
Sure.
In terms of they will run jank, stuff you don't normally see. They've both run Loki before, right? They've both run Apollo in the solo lane. So this could be like, we might see two mages over in the solo lane here today. We don't know. We'll find out.
It's definitely possible. Final bans are out, and Sobek will be selected for Torpedo, likely to be in that support position, but we have seen solo Sobek come out on the European side of things specifically. So.
And it's interesting with Murrdurr here, because that's his first game with Sobek this year. He's played, so far he's picked Guan, Bacchus, Athena, and Geb twice each. So he's kept his god pool consistent, but I think Torpedo's still trying to work out how Murrdurr fits into this lineup here, because he was the latest addition, and he's trying to play to his style, I think.
Guan, Bacchus, Athena are all pretty aggressive. Athena, you can argue, is both. Geb is defensive. Sobek is going to be aggressive as well, so it fits in there. Team Dignitas go ahead and opt for a Scylla and Cabrakan to round out their lineup. So Cabrakan most likely going to find himself in the jungle, Scylla in the mid, and then Chronos and Apollo are they, which is which?
And that's the question, can Dodo play both? That's the real question for me. Can Dodo play both Chronos and Apollo in the solo lane? Well, that's the flex of whatever Torpedo pick here, and that's what they'll be looking at now. Gamehunter, what do you want here? You're going to be against either of these two, and a Vamana is a good pick in both of those situations.
Totally safe. You're just going to be able to clear the wave easily, whether you're up against the Chronos or the Apollo. You don't really care. You'd rather be against the Apollo because of the way the passive on Vamana works, and you could just build a physical defense. But
true. I mean, there's benefits to both playing Vamana here. If you go against the Chronos, you've got kill potential on the Chronos early game, right? Chronos going to take a lot longer to get online and go in.
Oh, hey, FrostiaK.
Picks in the jungle.
Already minus 55 on the clock, and FrostiaK goes away and gives up first blood. Looking at his inventory, no red pot was purchased or used, so I think everything is okay. Homie didn't even have the Bumba's mask yet.
So, what this was, straight away, FrostiaK had just come out of base and picked up 2 wards and ran out immediately. And this was picked up by Torpedo. It's either scouted, but at the same time, even if it wasn't scouted, you had a Sobek on your team. And we saw this in North America yesterday, where you group up as a 5-man and you look for the pluck on Sobek early. They managed to get it and pick up first blood on FrostiaK. Good news as well, it goes over to NinjaBobat in the jungle, and getting your jungler ahead early is not a bad idea, because get that level 5, you can start putting pressure on everywhere. What
I really like there coming out from Team Dignitas is that FrostiaK was the one, sure he died. FrostiaK's the one out there dropping the wards. That's the support's job, quote unquote, right? But FrostiaK is going to go ahead and buy boots, and he's only going to buy 2 of each potion. That allows you, that's the amount that you need a full cycle of the jungle. You'll be able to afford boots. So a lot of times people just sit on that 200 gold. Well, he used that 200 gold. So hoping that things go his way, he'll be able to help out and pick up boots and do warding.
Dingo is right at the beginning of the game, though. That's the the sad thing about it. But he's not picked up a relic here as well. I think he wants to look at the situation developing for him, or the stress of dying for first blood kind of threw him and he didn't pick it up on the way back. That's a possibility too here. Could be looking for blink, could be looking for meditation.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll look for purification as well, just for the cleanse as we tune into the mid lane now.
I think it's one of those situations where he's going to play the option Hindu in the sense that, you know, if things are going well, if he finds opportunities, we'll see that blink come on level 3, level 4, level 5, and if things aren't going his way, he'll opt for something a little bit more defensive.
One creep goes the way. I don't know where the other one did, as you saw NinjaBobat teleporting, looking for a bit more damage on FrostiaK. But let's talk about FrostiaK there as well. Why did Dignitas send Frosty? I know he's the one who can get the wards out.
He's got some extra gold.
He's got the extra gold, but he's probably the one that's going to have the hardest time escaping. Of the whole team. I mean, Bacchus was doing that. Bacchus is like, no worries, boys. I'll flop away and I'm safe, you know? Or at least have more of a chance of survival. In that situation exactly then, he could have jumped over the wall if he had the ability to.
No, I agree.
I think Scylla too, Apollo could have dashed. There was a few things that could have happened if it was a different god.
I think it was just the economy.
I agree.
For FrostiaK. And overall, I like the move, despite the fact that, you know, I mean, that Cabrakan is going to get called out 1 out of 20 times, right? This was the one time that we saw it. So in general, I like that approach.
Hey, in the game though, if you get spotted doing that and it happens over and over again, you know you got an issue. So recognize it early.
True.
It's only 1 kill though, so it's not going to be too detrimental. But like I said though, it went to Thor.
I think the first blood here is much more important than it. First blood is generally always important, but that clean first blood, you're just starting the game 500 gold up. It's not like the other team is farming better than you and you get the 500 gold to mitigate. You're just in the lead.
Well, second game we're going to see for Rens as well on this Chronos over in the duo lane. He's matched up with Bacchus as well. So lane clear, definitely a little bit on the weaker side, not in terms of push power, but just the threat of actually engaging on them is kind of risky early on. With a Sobek again, should play by Murrdurr here, they're going to have the lane pressure of just you're scared of being hit by that charge prey. And now because of that, they've got a little bit of pressure to look at these boars. They need to be careful though, because Suntouch could go for the steal.
Yeah, Suntouch will jump in and secure a single one.
Looks like 1 for 1, yeah, I agree with that. It looks like the Ricochet definitely took 1 for Moex there. Moex playing this whole year, and like I said, him and Rens both not just really struggling for what they want to go to as their main sort of gods so far this season. I mean, we're week 5 in now, and we've seen a lot of different variations come out of both of them. Maybe that's just, you know, to the benefit of the Hunter role.
Yes and no. I think that with the advent of Throwing Dagger, players are able to really expand the Hunter role. And look to not even virtually. Every single Hunter, I think, is viable. I'm using Cobb with a 4 protect 1 even, right? So I think that all these gods are really viable. And then, of course, you've got your 2.5 mages. I think that Chronos and oh, watch out. Chronos is actually in some trouble.
Bacchus was the one you were looking for. But yeah, Suntouch still under pressure here at the moment. Has to use his curse to try and slow them down. Worried about Moex collapsing in, but it'll all be good for the time being there. Ricochet missing.
Soul's the one I'm looking for. Chronos and Soul. I said 2.5 because Frey doesn't really count. But there's a lot of wiggle room. But we haven't, as you said, a lot of the Hunters have found the sort of their home god and then will play around. Rens and Moex have yet to really find that. And I've liked Rens on the Neath. We'll see what he can bring with the hyper carry that is Chronos. And Moex, he's very aggressive. He's known for being in your face. And I think that Hou-Yi bodes well.
Talk about it being in your face right now. Dodo is going to get something in his face as Thor dunks in, and a good knocker from Gamehunter will secure the kill, and that's the benefit of getting NinjaBobat off to a good start. And if Vamana, you know, doing what he does over in the solo lane.
Straight stun locked. Bobat comes down, that's stun 1. Wall comes out, that's stun 2. A little bit of DR, and then Vamana pops him up. There's no DR, but it doesn't matter. The kill comes quickly enough, and FrostiaK in some trouble. He's going to be aggressed on.
A lot of trouble here. Actually,
where's
stuns,
the wall?
But the wall drops as well. Berserker Barrage, Circle of Protection. The wall is pinning him perfectly. That wall has 2 points in it, I swear, because that lasted a lot longer than expected. But FrostiaK will get away for now, because he uses ultimate.
Yeah, Murrdurr does not have the ultimate available, but now Dignitas going to turn things around. Tremors slows down the target while Bacchus jumps right on in. And the stun from NinjaBobat going to stop Dignitas in their tracks. Very well played.
Can we check on NinjaBobat for a second for me, the Thor? I just want to see how many points he's got in his wall. It's only 1. That wall just looked like it lasted longer than before. That was all. He was just well placed and in a good position to do it.
Sometimes, you know what it was? It was just the
do you know what? There you go. I actually thought it increased lifetime of that.
Nah, it increases the stun duration.
No, I knew the stun was in doing. Right. I actually thought it was the lifetime too. I don't know why it looked longer. Ignore me. It's my birthday. I'm allowed to be an idiot. I'm doing it on purpose today. One thing's up. ShadowNightmare in the mid lane as well. Going for Soulstone at the start on Scylla, which I really like.
Absolutely
as well, however, he's investing towards the tiny trinket instead of looking for the lost artifact. What this gives him is a little bit of more sustain from this, but it's also a natural transition path for him to go into a Polynomicon later on, which a lot of Scyllas are loving right now with that extra 75% damage.
Or even the Rod to Hoodie, right? There's other options that he can go if he chooses not to go.
If he goes Lost Artifact, then he can go Rod with that, or he can go for the Doom Orb, which is normally what we see come out from Scyllas at the start. But by going for the Lost Artifact, you actually get 3 potions this time round.
Yeah, it's just going to go ahead and increase your sustain in lane with all those potions, because a lot of times you only get 2.
And if he doesn't,
one of each.
He doesn't go for the Polynomicon here, he's got other options. He could look even. This is the crazy one, but Pythagorean's Piece is an option there. Bobat gets Dodo again on the right hand side. We caught it off, didn't catch it on the camera.
Yeah,
but once again, this is just a great start for Torpedo.
Dodo's having some trouble over here on the right side, and it's just because of Bobat's attention to the solo lane. He's just always there, hanging out. ShadowNightmare going to get stunned out most likely. Love the choice to wait for that situation, but he puts Murrdurr in a bad spot. NinjaBobat, I like the choice, but the execution left a little to be desired.
It was good patience, though, as well from ShadowNightmare. Could have used the Purification straight away. Could have used Sentinel straight away instead. Tried to return some damage first of all, so he could predict where the wall would come from, so he could save his Purification. Only actually used that when the Charge Prey came out too.
Right. So, unfortunate for Dignitas, or rather, Torpedo. Like the play there, but it's always funny when Ymir or Cabrakan or Thor wind up hurting your team, right? Because it's never, obviously, it's never the choice. It's always just luck of the draw. Unfortunate.
I'm looking for this team lineup of Dignitas now as well. They've got Cabrakan for the front line. FrostiaK's always been one, and I don't want to say to take a page out of Kivo's book, but FrostiaK's been a very supportive jungler a lot. He used to play a lot of Ymir in the jungle too. Right. And Cabrakan fills the same sort of role there. The issue I've got is Dodo is so far behind right now at 0-2. 2 levels down on Gamehunter before the 7-minute mark is a big talking point. Dodo's going to be there for like split pushing, turn up to the team fights late, and then when he gets to the team fight, making an impact because he should have more farm than the rest of the enemy team.
Exactly.
This time around, though, he won't at the moment.
That's going to be trouble. Going back to what you said before, though, I'm happy you brought up FrostiaK's Ymir. That's really the character that I associate with FrostiaK, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that Cabrakan offers a very similar style. He's going to be able to, in the early game, just bring this burst damage that Fat Loki is known for.
Early game, burst damage, engages for the team, and then late game, he turns into a engagement bot that can tank and just hold the line on the front line if he has to wait for his team to support. Dodo could die here.
Gamehunter is surrounded. Dodo might have died, but Dodo finds a way out. Will Gamehunter? Looks like not. Stun into the ult of ShadowNightmare. Dignitas finally put themselves on the board. The CC immunity from Shadow will avoid the dunk down from the Thor. Now stuck in between the wall, the tremors, and the hit. ShadowNightmare, 2 for Tuesday. Gets the double kill.
Gets the double kill. The first kill was credit to FrostiaK for the stun setup, and ShadowNightmare trust in his jungler to actually set him up for that. The mistake, though, was really all Torpedoes. They should have gone for the Gold Fury there. They had the opportunity to go for it. Yes, there's a Bacchus in the game, but you have an Isis, right? You can go for that Gold Fury and attempt it, and at least try and bait someone into a fight on the other side of the map instead. Instead of that, they rotate over to the right to try and defend, and in the end, they end up losing 2 lives and tie this game up for all intents and purposes.
Very curious play from Murrdurr over there in the mid lane. Melee range misses the charge prey on Suntouch, so maybe there's something going on, maybe there's not, but interesting spot. Sanctuary brought out by Korinyo after a couple of boys show up. Intoxicate was canceled and then missed by Suntouch. And FrostiaK going to be served up onto the tower. Korinyo is now the mid laner with 2 kills.
Surprised by the dive there coming out from Dignitas. A little bit off point. ShadowNightmare just used his root and crush. The Sanctuary came out from Korinyo. And Shadow's like, I've got nothing else left. I'm just dipping because there's no reason for me to stay for event hands here. And the other 2 dive in. And it's like, well, you've got some burst. I agree with the Cabrakan and Bacchus, but it's a little bit too risky. And in the end, turnaround is fair play from Torpedo and they punish him for it.
The big play, that was a solid play coming out from Dignitas. It was just better defense, better reaction from Torpedo, interrupting the Intoxicate. If Bacchus got that initial Intoxicate off onto Korinyo, the follow-up damage likely would have been enough to kill him, and as Korinyo winds up with the double kill, those deaths might not have even happened, but the smart interruption was a big deal.
Well, one thing as well, ShadowNightmare, I expected Polynomicon potentially here, but it's going to be a Bancroft's Talon coming out from him in this game, more than likely here. Bancroft's obviously gives him extra sustain, because he'll be able to get the crush off and get lifesteal off that, but on top of that, it will also give him increased damage when he's at low health, and to be fair, you're never going to be full health as Scylla, because people are always going to be focusing you. So that little bit extra towards Armor Monster, you're not going to be too upset about.
It's also very cheap. It's very inexpensive, 100 power coming out on that item, so always a decent look.
It's been a long time since we've seen it, and for me, ShadowNightmare is one of these mid laners at the moment that starts to craft these sort of ideas. He was one of the ones that brought out Cool Khan after a long visit. I've not seen him for a while. I've seen him on the likes of Zeus and things like that back in the days when Zeus was in an awkward spot. And then he also brings out interesting builds in terms of, we saw Soulstone on him before. He was one of the first ones to actually craft that in the mid lane.
Exactly. ShadowNightmare is probably not the #1 guy when it comes to, if you think of theory crafters in the SPL. ShadowNightmare probably doesn't come up in your conversation until later on, but he has never been afraid of trying something different, and he doesn't post it, he doesn't shout it.
It gets overlooked sometimes.
I
mean, it becomes regular maybe later on that everyone starts doing the same sort of thing Shadow does, but then you always forget where it began, and you're just like, oh, it's just normal. But some of that will come down to Shadow, you know? It's his sort of style.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Shadow's always been a really fun guy to take the magnifying glass on in the SPL, whether it's with builds, god choice, or just general playstyle. Even when Dignitas was struggling, ShadowNightmare was always the constant for the team.
Well, because they're currently struggling is FrostiaK at the moment and Dodo. I mean, they did get an assist, at least each, for the time being, but level 11 at the moment on FrostiaK, who went back to base and picked up Voidstone there. So look at the magical defense up against what mainly in this matchup is going to be Isis, but also it will reduce magical protections, which is going to increase the damage Scylla does.
Right. It'll not only just Scylla, but also FrostiaK himself, and importantly,
Chronos
Suntouch.
and Bacchus. Chronos as well. Yeah, there's multiple members. I like this. And it is 4 magical on this side, which is something we've not mentioned so far. It's not the worst case to be in. Look at this engage in the jungle. Bobat deleted.
Rens comes through with the damage off a time stop, and there's going to be a beautiful wall put up by FrostiaK. I love Cabrakan on this guy. I think it's going to be a match made in heaven.
That was a really nice little combination from Dignitas. Torpedo over-aggressed, looking for some engagement around the red buff area, and Dignitas turned it on its head immediately. Bursted out NinjaBobat, who was in a very good spot before that, as we tune into the solo lane once again, as the match is still going on.
Knock up for a knock up. Gamehunter took this tower quite a while ago, and now TheDarkDodo turns and tries to fight, but realizes he doesn't have the burst damage.
If the umbrella hit there and on the way back as well, I'm pretty sure Dodo probably would have been dead there, to be fair. Only really had the moves available to try and keep himself alive as he dashed away. Would have been an extra second or two. He could have potentially died.
And it wouldn't have been the damage, and it wouldn't be the damage from the umbrella. It would have been the slow and the opportunity for Gamehunter to aggress.
Exactly. He could have just walked up and used the enhance just to bring him down at the end of that.
Gamehunter smartly decides to not aggress on it, because they probably could have gotten the kill onto the Apollo, but it would have taken too long, and there would have been a rotation. So just opting for the quick and easy stuff. Suntouch stunned once, stunned twice. Will find a way out momentarily until he's served up directly into the clutches of the mid and jungle.
For Torpedo, that was like the piece de resistance of how to CC somebody down.
Yes.
You're against a Bacchus, right? Bacchus can just flop away. Walled, into silence, into tail whip, and when he jumps away, the charge prey is on point as well. Every single thing. There's nothing Suntouch did wrong then.
No.
There was nothing he could have done right, in fairness, and that was just beautiful played.
Impossible to escape. Torpedo pull out the textbook and just line up a perfect CC chain. Very well done. Shadow's going to go ahead and help clear out the blue buff because it's being contested by Gamehunter, who has just been just a complete pester this entire game.
But look at that, Gold Fury. It's just been done by Torpedo. What happened there, just so you know, Gamehunter obviously had vision of the blue buff being done, and 3 members were over there for Dignitas. And as soon as he saw that, he called it out. They were already doing it, Torpedo. Like, listen, you got this for free. Don't worry about it. Bacchus had died, which is one of the engagements that could actually defend it. As well as 3 members on this right-hand side. We're good. We get Gold Fury for free. Torpedo are playing very well today.
Exactly.
Very well.
Yeah, Torpedo are playing very well. And it makes me wonder. TheDarkDodo and FrostiaK have struggled a little bit, but is that just... Nice, Mez. Is that just Torpedo being very, very strong and stepping up, or is there a slip on Dignitas? And
I think it's
rough to call.
I'd give it more towards Torpedo right now with the way they've been playing. Composition. One of the issues I had with Torpedo at the start of the season is their comps were not looking good, right?
Yes.
They were looking very scattered, and they were playing for themselves and for the laning phase. This time round, not so much. Yeah, they're good in the laning phase, let's be honest, in the matchups they've got. However, they've also played for the team unity. Plenty of CC on this roster. Work as a team. We've not got Gamehunter on something like Apollo in the solo lane, so they've only got 1 frontliner, and their frontline is a Capri or something like that. They've actually got a good systematic team here. That first blood has just set them up to potentially continue gravitating this game. They've got to watch out, though, for ShadowNightmare. Really do.
Yeah, ShadowNightmare, I mean, Scylla will explode late game. period, full stop. ShadowNightmare will explode late game, period, full stop. You put him on the same character, you put him on that character, that's a little scary.
Well, the reason I'm saying ShadowNightmare as well is because the gold that he's got there has actually come as well. He's still a little behind Korinyo because of the Gold Fury and the 3 kills Korinyo has, but he's got the shutdown bonus of NinjaBobat, who had the 2 kills early on, and he also got a shutdown on Murrdurr as well, the assist count towards the shutdown. So, you know, he got himself in a pretty good spot there of getting that gold off the gods that need it. If he can get Korinyo too, then we may see ShadowNightmare be able to single-handedly carry us. I don't think he will be able to because he's going to have to require Suntouch or FrostiaK to join him.
Which is totally fine. Suntouch, as, you know, been fine. He got killed in perfect mid lane execution, right? Like, that's neither here nor there. FrostiaK even, I don't know. I think that I'm very proud of Dignitas because historically this team has had trouble bouncing back from bad situations. And that death that happened before the game, I almost feel like Dignitas were laughing about it.
For the most part, they could have
like just, hey man, FrostiaK, it's minus 55. Who cares? Let's play the game.
Now, I've been talking about Dignitas quite a bit here, but Korinyo in the mid lane this game, full Doom Orb stacked. She's the Medjay and now 6 stacks already on a Warlock Sash at less than 16 minutes.
Yep.
What a great position to be in as an Isis. You're going to be tankier. You can absorb some of that burst, which is going to come out from Cabrakan and Bacchus, and then Scylla afterwards. You need to get some sort of tankiness online. Warlock Sash is one of those items that you want to get on by a certain point. Generally, we say 14 minutes.
Right.
I'm all right with 16 minutes if I've already got a Doom Orb stacked up too.
Especially 3-0-1. Korinyo doing very well on this Isis. Early game dominance by way of the character, but also steered in the correct direction.
I like the patience coming out from Torpedo here as well. They're not trying to force anything too much here. They're still rotating around the map and just looking for opportunities if they present themselves. And Dignitas, well, they're answering back pretty well themselves. They're just happy to farm up and play safe. They need to do that until the next Gold Fury comes up and contest it. They're not out of the picture by any stretch just yet. Torpedo are just in control for now. And Torpedo, they don't have to force anything just now. They just keep doing what they're doing and they'll win this game.
Korinyo looking to at least surprise, maybe not force, but surprise. I think the combo there. I mean, everybody knows that the 3v3 team is here, right? Like, there's no secret that Isis is hiding.
But they're looking for him. You can see Murrdurr. He's hanging around the left, like, where is he? Where is he? Come on, you know, they're looking for the picks to find out exactly where everybody's hiding at. When they're all spotted, they're just like, okay, can we fight now?
It's just that little bit of uncertainty. You see hunters do it especially, where once the wave is clear and you don't want to fight, you just walk into the jungle.
And talking about walking in the jungle, that's what Gamehunter just did. Just came to the back harpies all the way over. He was looking to pressure mid lane with his teammates as well and let Dodo split push. He realizes realistically now it's going to be hard for him to kill Dodo. But Dodo's not going to be able to kill Gamehunter either unless he gets to the full build stages, especially now that you see that build coming out from Gamehunter at the moment. He's very, very tanky. Survivable.
Dodo will be able to kill Gamehunter in maybe another item or so. Apollo with full audacity can really rip through a Vamana. We've seen that in the Pro League, definitely a possibility. But take a look at the build. Physical defense, definitely itemizing directly against DarkDodo, but specifically DarkDodo. Do you think that heavy focus on DarkDodo is going to bite him in the butt?
It could hinder him in the team fights because as the rest of the team is all magical. So Gamehunter definitely has been focused on this, but maybe he's just not taking into account how many magical is against this game. Maybe the thought process hasn't been there on the choices, honestly. He's going for Hide of the Urchin now, which granted will give him some magical protection, but there's a lot of bursting magical on that enemy team, and I think if he turns up to a team fight anytime soon, he'll recognize that and be like, maybe I misplayed by getting too much physical defense here.
Yeah, I want to see a bulwark of hope at the very least.
I'm not against his build though. I like the item choices that he's gone.
I think that's what has been. I think that's what allowed him to be so powerful in lane against Dodo initially. But transitioning into the team fight stage might be a little bit rough.
Well, Gold Fury has spawned. You can already see Torpedo are grouped up, ready for it again, bursting it down with the Holy Suns, which we've not even mentioned once so far. Moek's been very quiet so far this game, but disciplined enough to secure the Gold Fury. A little bit late by the boys. Wasn't perfectly timed with the Isis ult, but that's okay. That's okay. It was still free.
Like clockwork, we hear the Sobek and we see the Isis forced into the ultimate as iRens, but as soon as he's safe, Thor is still in the air. Not going to find an aggressive placement.
Thinking about it, but then, you know, the opportunity wasn't really there. There was a very split-second moment where Shadow and iRens were on top of each other, where he could have looked for a dunk, but his team weren't really in position anyway. He would have dunked and had to leave. He could have gone for poker. Instead, they just walk away with the Gold Fury, which is fair play to Torpedo.
Blink in from FrostiaK. They're going to isolate the Isis. She's stuck. Korinyo gets a good stun, but stuck in the wall. FrostiaK needs to find another stun, unable to. The rest of Torpedo are going to go ahead and respond. Suntouch still playing up, trying to create an...
Dodo.
opportunity for the mid and the solo, but Dodo not able to kill Korinyo. Now Dodo's in some trouble. Aussie online, and here comes Gamehunter.
But Gamehunter can't really chase them down. They've all got mobility to get away. Rens is the only one in an awkward spot. Hasn't got rewind available here. Will be slowed down by this team. Has to get a stun or support, and he's going to get it from Suntouch. But a wall from Bobat is good. He does get stunned out. Crush comes down, but still Rens is getting lower.
Knockup is problematic, and there's Gamehunter taking Rens out at the last moment, right before he crosses the threshold into the tower.
So right back at the beginning of that fight, it was Dignitas that engaged, still trying to make something worthwhile after the Gold Fury loss. They looked for Korinyo. Korinyo does everything beautifully in that engagement. Ends up getting walled in by FrostiaK beautifully, but what he does is he auto-attacks the wall twice, right? Hits Sanctuary to avoid the crush damage that's coming out, then auto-attacks the wall again as we watch FrostiaK falling down in mid lane, and then walks through the gap. That by that point, he's still alive. They've wasted some of their burst, and the rest of the team collapse. Gamehunter comes in, Rens overcommits, pays the price.
I really hope that that particular play doesn't discourage Dignitas from this Cabrakan choice, because as you just highlighted, it was just Korinyo one more time with perfect execution.
Yeah, and Korinyo, to be fair, is having a very good game.
If that went any other way, if Korinyo decided to turn around at a different point, Sanctuary at a different point, basic attack something different, that's a dead ISIS. 12 ways till Friday. But if perfectly played, Korinyo can escape.
And the one thing that Cabrakan always brings to a game, when you put those walls down, it brings terror to the opposition.
Oh, yeah.
Because you panic immediately, like, I'm going to be stuck in tremors, there's going to be damage coming in, my exit has been cut off, what do I do? And the better players, the ones that realize that, are the ones that go to break down the wall and make the escape route for themselves. It's not easy. And the fact that he managed to think logically, break down the wall, get his Sanctuary off still, and then go. It's been crazy.
Yeah, no, very rough. And Cabrakan brings that. Cabrakan definitely brings that. But one of the things, when you talk about getting stuck in those Cabrakan walls, it's hard to escape. Let's take a look at the ability real quick, and you see as you level up this tectonic shift. Not to be confused with tectonic rift, but I like the pairing there. It takes more basics to take it down. So here right now, if you get stuck in that Cabrakan wall, it's going to take 4 separate basic attacks to take it out. As we continue on, it's just going to get tougher and tougher to go out of there. So if FrostiaK had been one more level on that tectonic shift, Korinyo dies there. That's how small. That's how small that opportunity is.
I'm not 100% certain if Korinyo's, because of his basic attack chain, whether or not the 3 hit of an ISIS actually counts as 3 hits.
No.
Not sure.
It counts as the third AOE hit counts as a single hit, just like a Thanatos.
I wasn't sure.
Just like a Thanatos or an Ajah, because they will hit separate pieces of the wall.
Look at this force though. They noticed the tower was weak. They realized Scylla had gone back to base.
Free.
Torpedo take a free tower. This is objective control from Torpedo this game. This is something that I felt they struggled with, and talking about like Gamehunter, a little bit overextended there though. A little bit too much.
See ya. Dodo finally finds a kill. You know, it seems like Dodo has had a really terrible game, but he's just 1-2-1. If you talk to the high-end solo laners, talking about Dimmy, talking about Omega, whoever solo opinion you trust and respect, every single one of them will tell you solo lane is not about winning your lane every single time. Sometimes it's about knowing how to lose your lane gracefully. And I think you point to Dodo, and he's definitely been on the losing side of this. He lost his tower very early, but after that, he was able to mitigate the situation and not feed.
Well, Global Gold is the biggest issue here. They've lost 2 Tier 1 towers and 2 Gold Furies so far. And that's why you can see Dodo is way, way behind Gamehunter, but also behind at the moment Moex, who's the level 20 hunter, who's not had anything to do other than assist a couple of times in the engagements.
And if you take the gold out of the situation, you just want to look at experience, Dodo just hits 20. So he's been keeping up. If you look across the board, 16 all in the jungle. Mid lane's a little bit different, but Korinyo's been having a spectacular game.
I expected today to walk in and see Dignitas 2-0 this, and 27 minutes apiece would be the games.
I wasn't, yes.
I said this to you off
You
there.
said that, but right before
I never change my name. I never change. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I expected 27 minutes,
That's the
Dig
truth.
will win, no problem. And that's the way I expected it to go.
Yep.
But Torpedo, not just because of the first blood, but the way they've been playing the Gold Fury objective control, the rotations around the map have been on point. The decisions when to fight and when to disengage have been good too.
Yes.
And the camaraderie of the team of actually helping each other in the engagement when Korinyo got caught, for example, has put them to good benefit. Dignitas have been on the back foot for the most of this game. The one mistake Torpedo made was right-hand side where Gamehunter was overextended, and when we saw NinjaBobat and Korinyo rotate over as well, and then Bobat died too, to give a double kill to ShadowNightmare. But since then, it's calmed down.
Big part of that too, I think, Torpedo, is when you're... Korinyo is a role player on this team. He's not really the superstar. He's not the standout player. He's not the guy that winds up 16-0-1.
The funny story, Korinyo used to be that guy for Worth Gaming back in the day on Team Coast. He used to have very good games on the likes of Giannis, and you'd be like, oh, he's really good.
Right.
But he doesn't do this so often. He doesn't go off that much.
Exactly.
So seeing him have such a good game on this ISIS right now is a testament to him actually coming back in, which is a great thing for Torpedo as a whole and the mid community, let's be honest. But another Gold Fury going to go free yet again. Dignitas' control of this Gold Fury has not been very good so far, I'll be honest. They've just been really struggling here.
Is that 3 Gold Furies?
Yeah.
Jeez.
3 in a row, and none of them contested.
None of them even thought about being contested.
The closest to a contest we saw was when they went for Korinyo after it was already dead, but that was the closest thing to it. Torpedo the shot calling has been on point. I don't know who's been shot calling for them, but it looks like maybe, just maybe, with a little bit of Murrdurr's come online now with this team, and they're actually finding these sort of windows that the boys at Titan used to find.
Dignitas looking for one of their first good engagements here. Korinyo's going to drop the circle and heal up just a little bit, but it's all over now. The Tremors come out after the wall, and Korinyo going to find a death if Dignitas can get to the backside, and Ren's able to rewind all the way on the other side of the opposition and put another kill on the board. That's 6 in total for Dig. Here comes FrostiaK. ShadowNightmare combines with the jungler for a kill.
Beautiful. We're starting to see Dig turn up all of a sudden now, and that Tremor blink was fantastic from FrostiaK to slow down Murrdurr from escape. He wasn't looking for the kill. He didn't have a stun available, but I'll put Tremors in your way and allow my Chronos and my Scylla to deal damage. FrostiaK was the biggest individual in that fight. Suntouch
such a selfless
had a good
play.
Fight, but that was a very good play. And we saw a kill in the right lane, too.
Yeah, such a selfless play. We missed the kill in the right lane, so why don't we take a look at what happened between Gamehunter and TheDarkDodo. And you see over here, Dodo just messes out, and Gamehunter says, nope, not the case. Goes right up into the ult, and with that dash on cooldown now, you're just able to take complete advantage of this situation. Not quite.
Just a mistake from Dodo there, which is ulting. If he carried on walking, he was fine. He thought he could ult and still live.
Yep.
Instead of just walking away, that's all he had to do was walk away. Gamehunter just picks up a free kill. Talking about free kill, this is a free time for Dignitas after a very good fight that finally we're starting to see the Dignitas we've seen all season.
And what's important to note here, Hinduman, is that Dignitas has been successful this season, wound up with a 5-3 record so far because of their ability to team fight. It hasn't been these enemy-esque smart plays on the objective. It's just Suntouch is going to jump in and we're going to murder you as a unit. And so what Torpedo was able to do the early and mid game here, that's not really Dignitas' game. Now that it's a little bit later and they're swinging, well, different story.
Exactly. When you look at the composition, Chronos finally comes online towards the later stages of the game now. He's nearing a full build now, so Chronos will be swinging.
Yep.
And you can see that as a testament to his 3-1 and 2 slash line there. Low on the damage charts at the moment, but it won't be by the end.
Look at Chronos also building the Bancroft. Now, I like the Bancroft. I like the Bancroft in general. So not that I've always loved.
This is a Dignitas talk then. What's happened here is something's coming, because we saw this with Paradigm when it came to Achilles' Spear as well back in the day, where Zaylee was running it and then Fumballer started running it. This is the same sort of stuff. Hold that thought. Suntouch in an awkward position, trying to hold his flops to the last second, which gets him out of the danger, but he did have to use Intoxicate.
I like that. Dodo goes in the sky just in case. If this continues, I'll come fight. If not, no big deal.
However, did they get the blue buff is the question. I'm not sure. I think it was stolen away.
No, blue buff is Dignitas's, but can they pick it up is a different story.
I don't know. I can see Torpedo hanging around here, looking like they're looking around the fire giant more than anything.
Yeah, Dodo.
They just want to pick on whoever's going for the blue, which is Dodo, but the whole team, Dignitas here as well. Great
double
spirit
stun.
ball.
Double stun is going to put Dodo in a bad spot. Served up by Sobek. Here comes NinjaBobat, landed on 3, immediately forcing Rens into the ultimate, perhaps a little soon. And that's exactly what it'll be. Korinyo able to take the double kill as he puts down Ren. Suntouch will fall to the ISIS as well. That's 3 for Korinyo. Still, a couple of members of Dignitas here and available. Long-range Spirit Ball. Will it connect? It does not! Moex takes out Shadow, but there it is. Quadra for Korinyo. Korinyo.
So, Dignitas tried to make something happen then after they'd already lost Dodo in that engagement. Dodo picks up blue buff, gets picked, annihilated. It was all down to Korinyo's Spirit Ball that forced that engagement. And after that...
That's game, Hinduman. Is that game?
No, it's not.
Is that game?
It's not game. It's not game.
If Circle of Protection was available, they might have been able to all
Not without minions coming. Minions would have been a little bit later. They would have taken a lot of damage from that too. It's a little bit too risky. I'm happy the decision they made. But Korinyo got the double Spirit Ball off. Dodo dies, and Dignitas still try and force a fight. ISIS puts the ult down, and they jump into the ult. Immediately, FrostiaK exploded. Following suit, Suntouch then goes down for the triple for Korinyo based off that. This was just a mistake from Dignitas on forcing a fight that they shouldn't have done. And Torpedo, to their credit, they took full advantage of it and are now looking good for the game.
That was very easily a fight that Torpedo that other teams might not have taken, right? It was an opportunity that had to be seized in that millisecond. That specific instant had to have been seized. The double stun into everything that happened. If it happened a second later, wasn't a fight, wasn't a deicide, wasn't a kill, you know? So Torpedo completely take the opportunity. They go ahead and win the team fight. No ultimate from Isis available, so instead of going for the win, they go for the Fire Giant, which was the correct choice, and they wind up 11k above their opponent.
Now they can just swing down left-hand side here. They've got a tier 1 tower, tier 2 tower to take for global gold, then a Phoenix on the left-hand side. Gold Fury's coming up too. After they look for the tier 2 tower, they can go gold again, and then Phoenix. Then look towards the win at the end. Realistically, though, that fight there should not have happened from Dignitas. That's a big talking point. Dodo got picked for free. They didn't use any ultimates, did Torpedo, in that engagement. You were already down a little bit anyway because of the Gold Fury loss you've had, but they tried to force it. And forcing it without any physical damage whatsoever is another talking point.
Exactly.
However, it was a rough situation for Dignitas to be in, and they made a mistake in the call, I want to say.
I would say so. It was a pick that turned into an unnecessary fight. You lose one and you walk away.
I mean, realistically, what would have happened from Torpedo? They would have limped back into the jungle, probably set for the Fire Giant. You may have got baited into a Fire Giant fight anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe by that point, Dodo would have been back alive and yada, yada, yada. I understand the call. It just didn't work out for him as Shadow unfortunately goes down. No purification available for him. Suntouch trying to make something happen on the front side, keep him busy with the drunkenness. But they're not too worried here, Torpedo. They're still sustaining.
Korinyo is just hitting like a Mack truck here. This Phoenix is going to go down for free. And Torpedo will be able to go ahead and rotate. Bobat's in the air, so if Dignitas decide to defend, they're going to get smoked. But instead, he'll just land on a couple of folks and push them back even further. Right-hand Phoenix going to be the only option for Torpedo. So they took out the mid one last time around, and this one should go down as well. 3 Phoenixes.
Tell you what, coming to the broadcast, we were saying Dig looking for a third place spot. At the moment, Torpedo's like, I'm going to second, son. Halfway through the season, nothing's done just yet. We want to put our names in that hat alongside the likes of Dignitas, alongside the likes of Cringe Crew as well. Like, we're in contention. To be fair, the results haven't been monstrous for Torpedo. They lost that first week to Panthera, but they've not lost to anybody else so far this season.
That's very, very, very true. Paulo's going to be in the air as torpedoes start to seep into the enemy base. Big chunk on a Suntouch. He's going to be in some trouble if somebody can find him. He'll wind up back in the fountain. ShadowNightmare's healing up as well. Cabrakan gets a kill on Korinyo. That's a big kill, but FrostiaK will be traded back thanks to Moex and the assist off of Gamehunter. And while there's a lot of damage being dealt to the Titan, Dignitas are doing what they can, but it won't be enough. Torpedo wind up on top. 83,000 gold to 66k. Fantastic game from the boys on Torpedo, and they come out and take out the hot Dignitas in game one.
That was all objective control for me from Torpedo game, and they got a small lead, and they kept taking objective out of towers, Gold Fury, Gold Fury, Gold Fury. Was it 4 in a row in the end?
4 uncontested Gold Furies.
The issue with that for Dignitas, it wasn't the engagements overall. Yeah, the last one broke the back of the game pretty much because they got Fire Giant off that. However, it was the Gold Fury defense more than anything. They didn't look at the objectives enough, and they got punished for it heavily by a very good Torpedo decision-making.
Just excellent decision-making, excellent communication, excellent objective control, excellent. I mean, even their execution wound up being perfect. Let's take a look at First Blood, where they were able to sniff out FrostiaK in the jungle, just out of nowhere. Korinyo, big part of the game.
There's no First Blood. We saw that one.
Yeah.
Give me some
let's just skip past that. We'll go right to Korinyo, since he really the driver of the game.
And really good play once again coming out. This was group effort over and over again. That diving mid was a small mistake by Dignitas again. I can see the mistakes on some of the kills where they end up dropping is because, all right, you overextended, but then this is just, there's not much you can do there. No. And then I believe this is the fight there where Dodo dies. That was an initiation from Korinyo. But watch his play through this fight. He sits in the back, his position is good, looking for an opportunity. Whoever presents himself first of all is iRens, who rewinds all the way back in. And with Suntouch coming in straight afterwards with the flop, he turns his attention there, picks that up, and then recognizes he could be focused now, so runs away. He knows how my monster's available. He's not looking for the Quadra or the Penta right then. He's like, I need to survive. I'm important to the team, does his job, and still gets the delayed Quadra at the end.
So even that Spirit Ball that misses, again, I'm going to say it for the 1,000th time this split. Impossible decision. You walk in and you get stunned. Honestly, you die to the Spirit Ball, or you walk away from your tower. Either way, you're in a bad spot. FrostiaK, there's no right answer. Fantastic play by Korinyo. Completely in the driver's seat. The reason Torpedo wins this game.
The reason is, it was objectives more than that. Northern Korinyo had a very good game, the best performance of the year. Actually, to be fair for Korinyo, probably best performance I've seen in the SPL in the past year and a half.
I won't disagree. Korinyo completely blew me away.
However, game 2...